some clips don't just feel creepy. They make you question how much of history was lost, buried, or never fully explained. Today, we're getting into rare archival footage, forgotten landmarks, historical destruction, and societal issues that challenge the official story. Come on, man. This is Brosky Ray. Let's go!
Disclaimer: this video is for entertainment purposes only. Please do your own research, as these clips haven't been fact-checked.
The CIA has a cheat code for ridding your body of physical pain. This code was discovered by the Monroe Institute, a legitimate nonprofit organization, in what they call their Gateway Process. The Gateway Process is a training system developed by the Monroe Institute that utilizes meditation and sound waves. The Army and the CIA studied the Gateway Process in the 1980s for what they said was exploratory research. The 21-page Gateway Intermediate Workbook is on the CIA website, cia.gov. And on page 14, it tells you how to get rid of pain. Look with your closed eyes at the part of your body which is the source of pain signals. As you look, repeat in your mind the number 55515.
Ooh.
When you do these two things, the pain signals will slowly reduce until they are no longer important. And many, many people swear by this.
Wow.
Give it a try and let me know how it works out in the comments.
They also solve cancer, but won't allow it to be used.
These are far more than a trick of the eyes. Our realm was a much larger place, and the creatures and all of its inhabitants were much larger with it.
Ooh.
These are the mud fossil remains, buried and covered up and turned to stone
Look
in a
at
flash, in a cataclysmic event. The remains of them can be found realm-wide. Our history is far more stranger than fiction, and a lot larger too. Question everything, friends. Until next time.
This rectification weapon, a patent online.
To understand what happened in Charleston in 1801, you have to understand what came before it. And that story begins not in America, but in London and in France.
When the Grand Lodge, or the premier Grand Lodge, was founded in London in 1717, there were those only two steps or levels. They were not yet called degrees. The first reference that we have to these levels being called degrees is 1723. It wasn't until 1725 until we have our first strong evidence of the Master Mason's degree. So this was something novel in Freemasonry. And only a few years after that, we know that by 1733, there was another level or degree added, or that was being conferred in London, and that was called the Scotch or Scots or Scottish Master degree, however you want to call it. The traditions of that degree are extremely important to what we consider high degree Masonry, or anything that's above the degree of Master Mason.
From that single degree, a more elaborate system would grow.
You guys, isn't it funny that every election year we have some race-baiting CIA psyop like this? Because what the hell is this? Now, if you haven't seen this by now, people are taking pineapple soaked Kool-Aid batches and selling them like it's the new hottest thing. Now, I have a real genuine question. Who made this popular? Where did this come from? This has to be coming from the top, because why? And Kool-Aid pineapples in a reduction is 81. And would you look at that? Government psyops is the same at 81 in a reduction. Now, being this is 2026, this is the midterms, we do have to recognize the pattern recognition, because all these other events also happen during election years. Starting with Trayvon Martin, which was 2012. We have Philando Castile in 2016, Breonna Taylor in 2020, and you guys all know this one. We have George Floyd also in 2020, who were all during election years and all racially charged events. Coincidence? I mean, it is very interesting timing that we have the Austin Metcalf, Carmelo Anthony trial just starting. Also, we have this walking piece of trash, Chud the Builder, who's also in trial for an attempted murder case. Now, all this is for the control of your mind, because literally they are casting a spell in real time, because that's what government means. If you break it down, the word govern, gubernabre in the Latin root word, means to steer or control. And mentis, means mind. Literally, in the name, mind control or control of the mind. But that's just a coincidence, right? Right? And to add insult to injury, those little pineapple Kool-Aid things you guys are making, yeah, it has the same amount of sugar as 9 cans of Coca-Cola.
What?
So there's that. You guys don't fall for the psyops, but anyways, let me know what you guys think about all this down below.
Hey, does anyone remember the Popeyes chicken sandwich fights?
No, they were not. Just like we have shown, without even looking at the photos, without looking at the narratives, by only looking at the population data, we can clearly see that a population of nobody. They were not riding around on Seabiscuit and their wagon attached, hauling granite and carving stone, constructing palaces 150 years ago, without a power tool. All better than we do today. And in a much more efficient, faster timeline. 100% something happened based on the data that we are given. Now, in 1860, the entire state of Wisconsin, the whole thing, only had 775,000 people. They didn't even have 1 million people yet. This is 1860. In 1850, only 10 years before that, it drops down to 305,000. So then in 1840, they only had 30,000 people here. This is the entire state of Wisconsin, only having 30,000 people. 10 years before it had 300,000. Do you see how fast the population's dropping here? In 1837, how many people were in the whole state of Wisconsin? Like 15, 20,000 people? How many people lived in Madison, that little city? That's the whole state of Wisconsin. So how many people lived in Madison at that time? 1,000 or 2,000 people? Well, here it is. Madison, Wisconsin, 1850. 13 years after the date we're talking about, where we know the population spiked dramatically. Wow. 1850, only 1,525 people. So how many people were in Madison, Wisconsin in 1837? Do you still believe what you've been told? Milwaukee, Wisconsin had 1,712 people in 1840. 1837, 3 years before. Madison, Wisconsin, half of them being children. How many people were here? Who was trained to build these Capitol buildings? And why is our population worldwide basically zero? Just 184 years ago. Who was constructing the palaces? Wow. Who was training everybody? No power tools, no shipping companies, no people. What are we seeing today? Why would a population of nobody, and half of them being children, why would they need to construct a second Capitol building in 1837 when nobody is here to even verify that this is actually
one of my favorite YouTube channel, Lunch Break. Follow this guy on YouTube.
95th degree Freemason Aleister Crowley stated 11 is the number of magic. The 9/11 mega ritual commenced with American Airlines Flight 11, which would equal 1111 in Gematria. The Twin Towers visually represent the number 11. The first flight had 92 people on it. Numerology, that's 11. The second flight, 65 people, another 11. New York was the 11th state of the Union, and New York City has 11 letters. And each of the towers had 110 stories, 110, 11. But construction for the World Trade Center was led by Tishman Realty and Construction, whose headquarters were based at 666 Fifth Avenue in Manhattan. This is all nice and dandy, you know, maybe I'm schizophrenic. The true symbolism of the 9/11 mega ritual is rooted in Egyptian and Freemasonic mythology. The Twin Towers symbolize the twin pillars of Freemasonry, Yakin and Boaz. These pillars stand at the front of Solomon's temple. So the Twin Towers, Yakin and Boaz, stand next to Building 7, which mysteriously collapsed. Building 7 was known as the Solomon's Brothers Building. This building was 47 stories high, another 11. In between the twin pillars of masonry, Yakin talking to Boaz, lies what Masons refer to as the blazing star. This star is symbolic of the ancient Egyptian star of initiation, Sirius, known as the dog star. Coincidentally, the only animal who died or perished was a dog named Sirius. But it gets more serious than this. The date 9/11 on the Gregorian calendar, of course, is the same day as the former Egyptian New Year, the 1st of Thout. The actual rising of the star has changed over the years due to precession and equates with August 5th. Interestingly enough, the groundbreaking of the World Trade Center took place on August 5th, 1966. Even more interesting, the Statue of Liberty, which was constructed and given to America by Frederick Auguste Bartholdi, who was himself a French Freemason, and the Statue of Liberty depicting Apollo the Light-Bearer, a Luciferic archetype holding his torch of flames. The Statue of Liberty had its cornerstone laid on the same day, August 5th, the rising of Sirius. The date carved or stamped onto that cornerstone, July 4th, the founding of the U.S., which was founded by Freemasons and agents of the Vatican, just so happens to be the day Sirius conjuncts with the sun. The Pentagon, which was also hit on the day of 9/11, just so happened, a lot of just so happens going on here, just so happened to be constructed on the same day, September 11th, 1941. A bit more numerology, the Pentagon was hit by American Airlines Flight 77, and this is why I only fly Delta. The flight hit the Pentagon, which sits on the 77th meridian west and is 77 feet tall. While Flight 77 struck the Pentagon, Flight 175 struck the south face of the South Tower, directly above floor 77. In Aleister Crowley's Liber Oz, also known as Book 77, he states the number 77 is the number of the goat. At the time of the 9/11 mega ritual, George Bush was reading to the children of Emma E. Booker Elementary School in Sarasota, Florida, when he received the book he was reading during this was a story titled The Pet Goat. During the attacks, a white E-4B mystery plane was spotted flying in circles over Washington, D.C. Its call sign was Venus 77.
Something
Man, young man is on point, on point.
happened here in the 17 and 1800s clearly that we're not being told about. These people in Utah in the 1800s, they were in a remote developing area. There was basically nobody even there. And this matches the exact same pattern that we've seen all over the world. We already know that this is not just in Utah. It's also in Chicago. It's in New York. It's in California, Texas, Florida, Europe, Asia, and the rest of the world. It's everywhere. All of these buildings, they're all built with perfection, and they were built in no time. All of these buildings, they were all replacing earlier structures, supposedly. Because we're being told that this was the booming 1860s, where there's just no people, and there was no training. These supposed architects, they were just out there winging it with no paperwork. There weren't even any cars at this time to actually ship the materials to the site. These people in this time period, we're all told that they were supposedly suffering. Yet at the same time, they were just easily putting palaces together for a population of nobody. It is beyond illogical. It doesn't make any sense. And the truth, I believe, is that these buildings, they were already here. And that these stories that are attached to these buildings, I believe that they're all made up. They're pretend. And they're ultimately a lie. Because this is when the email chain goes further. And what they gave us is a list of processed records from 2017 again. And here's the list that they just provided us. A processed list from 2017 that has absolutely nothing that we asked for. Not a single architectural plan, no structural drawings, no blueprints, no engineering calculations, nothing. It's just a bunch of administrative records. And they know this. It's not actual construction proof. So now we for sure know 100% that their first email, it was a brush-off attempt. And they are trying to deflect the fact that they don't have a single document proving their story, proving that they actually know how this building got here. And this is what we do here. Now that we know that they tried to brush us off twice.
This is a seed of velvet bean. When you take one seed of this is not ritual, this is natural product. If you take one seed now of this velvet bean, snake will not bite you for 1 year.
Really?
What? I don't buy it.
And if you take 2 seeds at once, snake, any species of snake, this is just a plant.
How about black mamba?
This is not juju or
Black mamba would bite the shit out of you.
Are you going to
magic.
swallow it?
Yes.
How does this I'm curious, right? What is it in there? You said it cannot bite you. Or
Yes.
if it bites you, it will not.
It will not open its mouth.
Why?
There are some chemical substances found in plants, mostly alkaloids, some kind of alkaloids that can repel even plants, other plants, insects, animals. Then there are some that are poison. When they eat, they die. And there are some that are antidotes. When they eat, they live.
So you mean if I swallow it, or I can put this in a drink?
No, you can swallow the way you swallow a tablet.
This
or
one
a
like
pill.
this. So it has
inside are seeds there. It's
Inside
just,
it.
Yes, if you check carefully.
Yes, I can see.
Maybe he's right.
If you pick one seed and you swallow it.
Yes. Wow. This is
Swallow it, man.
Remember that, like, all of your celebrities are fallen angels. And you slow down the camera and take a look at what is actually going on with Chris Brown's hand and Michael Jordan. Now it makes much more sense why they are doing this stuff to the kids. This stuff goes pretty deep. They basically had to tell us that they were in connection with these reptilians, this alien, listen, everything that you hear about aliens, it's all part of the psyop. Once you take a look at your top singers, like Shakira, even Mr. Chris Brown's hand, this stuff is absolutely wild. Listen, you think that these celebrities aren't stealing your energy, but then you look at the actual evidence and you're like, oh, these are just a bunch of Space Jam energy stealing archonic entity demons, aliens, who have taken over all of the superstars and basically like all of the celebrities. The Shakira one's really messing me up. Yeah, me too. Remember, they're not aliens. They are fallen angels, and this is how they dupe everybody. And then they make these tunes and these songs that make you loony. Oh, listen, it's all been in the English spell the entire time. We can't continue to just fool ourselves and be like, oh yeah, we're all happy here. We have to also remind ourselves that we're all stuck in this black magic ritual matrix. You can't trust anybody. You can't trust your celebrities, your performers. You sure as heck can't trust Jelly Roll. All this stuff is absolutely wild, and this is why the Messiah, taught us to leave this wicked beast system. Because he knew that those, what do you call them? Those watchers, those demons, they were going to try to lie to you then. They tried to lie to you now. Remember, this goes pretty deep, okay? Everything you've been taught about America has been a lie. Remember, they want to sacrifice the innocents to their God. Which is why they say, in God we trust. This is why the original is always going to be better than the counterfeit. This is why all of your celebrities say, I just want to thank God. Doesn't matter the celebrity. They're all like, oh, I just want to thank God, because in God, the black magic ritual trusts him. And it goes even deeper than that, family. All you got to do is look into the fact that King James was also Masonic. This is why the original names are so important. So, I hate to make everything about the Most High, but once you lose your mind, start to find that we actually need to listen to the instructions that are laid out here so that we don't become reptilian like the others. Okay? Do you hear what I'm slipping into, man? Bro, to learn the way, because, there's only one way. There's only one Lord, okay? And his name ain't... Real talk, if you haven't, looked into the truth, you should probably start to do it soon. JacobsLink.com for the Health Bible and everything you need to start healing. We're at the link at the bottom.
Female serial killer of South Korea. October 25th, 2025. At a restaurant in Gangnam, a man named H collapses while drinking white wine with Soyoung. She calls 911. He was just drinking white wine and just suddenly collapsed. Yeah, just come quickly. She's so nonchalant. 2 months later, December 14th, 2025, 11:20 a.m., Soyoung tries to kill her ex-boyfriend in the bakery parking lot. He's hospitalized for 2 days, unconscious, and she's there playing the doting girlfriend, but when she gets home, she writes in her journal specifically that day, dose only knocked him out. It didn't kill him. January 24th, 2026, a man is in a karaoke bar with a girl he just met, private room, collapses on the ground. 911 is called. She says, he just won't wake up. I didn't know what to do. I just met him. I'm here for the first time on a date. I don't even know his home address. How am I supposed to take him home? Her 5th and 6th victims were both found dead in motel rooms, and the method of killing was the same in both. The hangover drinks in Korea. They're sold at every convenience store. They're marketed as helping your body process alcohol faster. It's like a detox. Soyoung would go home, and using the back of her kitchen knife, she would crush up all of her prescription pills that she is prescribed for PTSD. She uses a piece of paper, funnels them into the hangover drink, and throws those in her purse for dates. Once she goes on the date, she'll be drinking with the men and she'll look up with them with a warm smile and say, "Oh, I have something for you." Well, I always carry around these hangover detox drinks to just make sure the hangover isn't bad. Here, you should try one. Instead of sobering up, these men would take the hangover drink. They would suddenly start feeling nauseous, as if the world is getting distorted. Their stomachs would start churning. Their tongues get stiff. They can't talk. They lose consciousness. And Soyoung would just stare at them. There are some netizens who believe that she can't be evil because look at her Instagram pictures and she's only 20. Why would she need to be a serial killer?
Let's say somebody caught an STD, syphilis.
Syphilis, chaparral, you know. Chaparral is very good for syphilis, herpes. It's very good for human papillom. It's very good for hepatitis. You know, it's very good to clean your skin too. You know, Native American people use chaparral to clean the poison from the snake. When the snake bites somebody, that is to clean the poison by drinking chaparral. It's very good to clean your blood. The FDA said, telling people like it's poison, you know, because it's very good for your body.
Is all this stuff on your website?
Yeah. Okay. You can find any website, you know. I only telling people to get healthy.
Got you. And then let's see, what else do we got? We got you already said HIV. Well, no, you haven't said HIV.
HIV, quassia. It's called hombre grande. It's very good for HIV. You know, yellow dog. You know, it's very good.
What is his website? Anyone knows? Hey, FDA must be part of Big Pharma now.
That's what Freemasonry is. It's Balamic tradition, truth anyhow. It's the perversion of Kabbalah. It's the perversion of Sadasad Torah. And some Jews try to be faithful to Sadasad Torah. A lot of them don't. And then they also train a lot of Gentiles to have an inheritance with the perversion of Sadasad Torah Judaism to become sorcerers. That's what all Freemason lodges are. The Daughters of the Eastern Star, the Job's Daughters, the Jesters. There are 66 different branches, if I remember correctly, and they all learn the ways of the fallen angels. And they all worship Lucifer. They're Luciferian cults. And they're deep, deep, deep into the archons. They even have archon lodge of the this, that, and the other thing all over, you know, and it's everywhere. Every city and county and state in the United States of America since 1776 was into this Luciferianism. We want to say America's a Christian nation. Yeah, there's truth to that.
In this,
the Kabbalah is demonic.
Industry, which you must understand is, you know, when you do sell your soul, you are allowed to live forever. And these people that are called youngins, had no idea that these people still live. They will pray, haunt, kidnap, anything to stay on top. This is their world. They have nothing but time, is what they believe. The art of exchanging spirits, trading spirits.
And then when they do die, they can move their consciousness from their decaying body, from their dead, body to a new clone of themselves. They can basically, they can harness and control and transport the informational bundle that is a soul from one piece of hardware to another, or wetware to another. They know how to do this, and this is why, like, in all the human myths about Apollo and Aphrodite and whatever, Zeus himself, these gods seem like they live forever. They always look the same, and whereas humans are, being born and dying generation after generation, these Nordics always, these gods.
Is that Queen Latifah?
Always look the same because, first of all, their lifespans are thousands of our years per body, and then also they can move their consciousness into clones of themselves. So yeah, it's exactly as you describe it. It was done a very long time ago, and these are the people who manage us.
The greatest trick the elite ever played was convincing humanity that bloodlines are about royalty when they are actually about antennas. Let's talk about the Alpha and Omega. The Alpha was the watchers giving humanity the codes to abundance. The Omega is the system tricking you into turning off your antenna. If you didn't know this, your blood is a crystalline oscillator. You are a biological condenser designed to merge the currents of the earth with the light of the heavens. Look at the book of Enoch and what was found in the Dead Sea Scrolls. It exposes the watchers, the earthly angels who descend to empower humanity. They came intentionally to teach mankind the divine blueprint, the metals, the astrology, the mathematics of reality. In reality, they act like genies. They don't judge, they just act. But look at how this perfectly aligns across the ancient world. In Hinduism, there are 14 lokas, 7 upper heavenly realms and 7 lower earthly realms. This maps perfectly to the 7 archangels of the divine and the 7 earthly angels, and also the 7 Egyptian Hathors. To access them, you don't look up into the sky, you turn inward. Now here's the thing, the demiurge panicked. To ensure that you would never tune your vessel to these frequencies, the demiurge hijacked the narrative. It labeled the watcher's frequency as demonic. It spun off the archons to intercept your connection, creating the ultimate triad bait and switch. Right now, a tiny subset of secret societies uses these exact frequencies, the 7 hermetic principles, the earthly watcher energy, to cast reality as we know it and manifest wild abundance. Meanwhile, you and I are kept spiritually blind, terrified of the very frequencies that would set you free, praying to a jealous demiurge that keeps you in servitude. And why do we love Jesus so much? He came here to show us the truth, nothing more. The reality of that truth, it's inside
He came for our sin.
of each and every one of you. You know it in your heart. You know what's real and what isn't. Thank you, and I love you.
In Islamic tradition, there are 2 figures briefly mentioned in the Quran, Harut and Marut. The Quran states that they were angels sent to Babylon and that they taught people magic, but with a warning. They would say, "We are only a test, so do not fall into disbelief." According to those later stories, some angels once questioned why God showed mercy to humans. God's response was essentially, "You think you could do better? Prove it." 2 of the purest angels, Harut and Marut, volunteered. They were sent to Earth, specifically to Babylon, given human desires, and told to live among people without sinning. And for a while, they succeeded. Then they were tested. A woman, often identified as Zora, came to them. She didn't force them into anything. She simply offered herself, but only if they did certain things first. She asked them to join her in idolatry, to bow before a false god, one of the gravest sins an angel could commit. They refused. She asked again later, and this time she only asked them to drink wine. They thought about it. Wine seemed like a lesser sin. How much harm could one drink do? So they drank, and once they were drunk, everything unraveled. They became intimate with her. Then they realized someone had witnessed what they had done. So to keep it a secret, they killed the witness. One sin opened the door to the next. Zora had been paying attention. During their time together, she extracted from the angels something called the Ism al-Azam, the greatest name of God, a word of such power that simply speaking it allowed the angels to ascend to heaven each night. She spoke the name, and she rose into the sky. But she didn't make it to heaven. She was trapped, frozen, and, according to the folklore, transformed into the planet Venus.
Oh, this is a folklore.
Some versions say she shines there as a reward for her cleverness. Others say she is imprisoned and tortured, suspended in the sky forever. As for Harut and Marut, they tried to return to heaven the next morning, but they couldn't. Their link to the angels was severed. God gave them a choice: punishment now on earth or punishment later in hell. And they chose earth. So they were bound in a well in Babylon, suspended upside down, hanging between heaven and earth. In the folklore, their mouths hang open from thirst, and the water beneath them is visible. They will hang there until the day of judgment.
The Jerusalem temple was sacrificing children. Jeremiah 7:31 named the valley. The site was called Topheth, in the valley of Ben Hinnom, outside Jerusalem's walls. Children were burned there as offerings. Jeremiah named the temple establishment as responsible. This was institutional. In 622 BCE, King Josiah desecrated the site. The Hebrew word for that valley later became the word for hell itself. Archaeologists excavated the Phoenician version in Carthage. They found urns. Inside, cremated infants, 1 to 2 months old, hundreds of urns. The ages match no natural mortality pattern. Carthage and Jerusalem used the same ritual architecture. The temple ran this until a prophet forced the record. Josiah stopped the fires. The prophets preserved the accusation. Who built Topheth in the first place?
Because we've been taught, X, Y, and Z, and it doesn't fit in that narrative, well, we can't even acknowledge it. Well, go to hell. In that era, in that time frame, a one-world government did spring up. And this is where we get these stories of Atlantis and Lemuria and this megalithic tech. That's really where it comes from, is that second era. And it was when, a world government in some form was established, and certain techniques were, taken to every part of the world. And that's why we see megalithic construction in every part of the world that is the same. The polygonal structures, the polygonal construction technique should be treated as the same culture. It's literally, it doesn't matter that, it's not the same stone, but it's literally the same technique. So having it in multi parts of the world, it should all be automatic that there was some type of world culture. But because we've been taught, X, Y, and Z, and it doesn't fit in that narrative, well, we can't even acknowledge it. Well, go to hell. It's over with. The evidence is there. That's what all this is, and that's why it's the same.
Charlie says, always tell your mummy before you go off somewhere.
It saddens me that nobody has heard of this man, yet he is one of the most OG, anti-pharma, pro-medicine healers that have existed. This is Samuel Thompson. And in the 1800s, he created a whole system of natural healing, and it was called Thompsonian medicine. And in the 1800s, he was healing thousands of people with 2 primary herbs. And these 2 are my favorite herbs today, cayenne pepper and lobelia.
Man, I love cayenne pepper.
Samuel Thompson was a great inspiration for Dr. Christopher, my favorite of all naturopaths. And if you read Dr. Christopher's work, you will also know that lobelia and cayenne are some of his top herbs. Samuel Thompson was a great advocate for becoming your own doctor. And his anti-doctor approach is what got him jailed for over 40 days and lost him $5,000. And in the 1800s, that was a lot of money. Samuel Thompson's premise is very much aligned with modern-day naturopathy. He attributed disease to being a lack of heat or vital force within the body, and an increase in coldness and dampness. So a lot of his practices involved being in vapor baths, herbal bathing, steaming, foot baths. This is how he would treat a common cold. He would say, drink freely of a composition of cayenne, and if that's not a hand, peppermint herb, or some other stimulating medicine. Then take a vapor bath and bathe the feet, or take an old-fashioned sweat, and if necessary, an emetic of lobelia. Here's an image of a Thompsonian vapor bath that were in his institutes. That's right, he had institutes that people would go to in the 1800s to heal naturally, open detox pathways, clear out waste. What I found very interesting of Thompsonian medicine is that he paid close attention to the stomach. And he said that morbid accumulations fester there. Sluggish bile and emulgations and an overload of toxins. And that is the source of internal vital force and heat for the body. So when the stomach goes down, the whole digestive system and the whole body suffers as a result. That is why he used lobelia, because lobelia is an emetic. It is an expectorant. And so he would use it in kind of mega dosing protocols to induce vomiting. He would clear out the toxic, morbid accumulations in the stomach by almost gently forcing a vomiting and expectoration process. He would then use lobelia as a nerve relaxant, and then cayenne as a stimulating herb that improves circulation. This guy was truly ahead of his time, and you can see that his work largely inspired many world-renowned naturopaths. Looking into work like him makes me believe and know that old medicine isn't dead. It is alive and living, but we have just learned the principles and we have become lost ourselves.
Much better also.
In how to use these medicines.
What is real, what isn't. I did a whole deep dive because with CERN, a lot of people may or may not know what CERN is, but essentially it is a research collective by 25 different countries that all came together to build the Large Hadron Collider.
Funny how we can come together when it's some scientifical Dexter's Laboratory shit, right?
We're not even in there though. America, we're not in that group.
So we're not part of CERN at all?
No. CERN fired up in '08, right? The first time it ever fired up. So this is in Switzerland, in Geneva, to where it's 17 miles in circumference, right?
It's underground, right?
And it's underground.
How? I want you to think about this, yo. It's 17 miles underground.
Underground.
That kind of gives credence to what that Bush officials that came out and said, oh, we got underground cities across the whole country. That means it has to be infrastructure underground.
And essentially what they're doing is they are smashing subatomic particles almost at the speed of light. And they built this to discover what makes up the universe, or when the Big Bang happened, what happened right after that. So that's what they're answering these questions, or trying to answer these questions. When CERN was fired up, we tried to shut it down. There was lawsuits that filed here in America to shut CERN down, but to no avail. They couldn't because we're not in no jurisdiction.
So why did they try to shut it down?
Because they were saying that it could mess with the fabric of reality.
Mandela effect.
So the Mandela effect, essentially, we remember things, and then when we look at them, it's not what we remember.
Right. And it didn't exist before CERN was fired up, by the way.
Exactly. Here's the thing. So Mandela effect didn't start until '09. There was an author, she's a paranormal researcher, who coined the phrase Mandela effect, right. Fiona Broom, right? So she wrote on this. She started to notice in '09, wait a minute, hold on. Does Curious George have a tail or doesn't have a tail?
Does Monopoly have the monocle or not?
There's another one that gives it away. Okay, so it's Looney Tunes, Toon tunes, but the Mandela effect suggests that it's Toon the other way.
So they're saying Tunes was Tunes, right?
They're saying it was always that.
Right.
No, it wasn't.
Exactly.
No, the fuck it wasn't.
Here's the thing. I cracked the code. You remember Tiny Toons, right? Who was Tiny Toons?
That was the same ones, but there were kids.
There were little kids, right? At Luniversity.
Yep.
That they were learning from Bugs Bunny, all the bigger ones, right? You had Buster Bunny, Plucky Duck. How is Tiny Toons spelled?
Toons.
Okay, so why is it spelled the one way when it's connected to the other one and it's spelled differently?
They're literally the same characters. Why would they spell it differently?
So you have Tiny Toons spelled one way, but you have Looney Tunes spelled the other way?
Make it make sense.
They're saying that the reason they filed these lawsuits is because CERN is creating microscopic black holes
on Earth.
That doesn't sound good.
That's not good here.
They could be opening up portals. I mean, that's what they're saying. What's happening with these microscopic black holes, portals,
Infinity War,
messing with reality, the fabric of time and space.
Timelines machines at CERN and underground secret cities.
What the Catholic pedophile church does is it hides everything in plain sight. There's the phallic. It's a sundial. And then when the sun, see the sun's up here. This is facing east, by the way. East is here. This is north. This is south. When the sun goes through the equator on Easter and it rises up to Cancer, it sends a shadow on that sundial. You see the shadow is there, but it will send a shadow onto this statue here at the end. These are colonnades. This beautiful big colonnade, and there's a statue here, statue here, statue here, statue here. So that as the sun goes from summer, autumn, winter, spring, summer, autumn, winter, spring, it will cast a shadow in this cross, always. And so what they're showing you is these are the solstices, the amplitude of the wave, and this is the equilibrium. This is why when the Pope comes out here to all the pedophile supporters that are gathered around here on Easter, he is looking to the east. The sun is right here at Easter. It's crossed over into the Lamb of God. The Lamb of God will be here in this section here. Aries, Taurus, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, the days of Lent, and then when the sun crosses at Easter, Ashtarte, they celebrate the crossing of the Lamb of God. There it is. There's the sun, the wheel of the year. Same old religion, guys. Hasn't changed. There's the sun walking on water.
This guy right behind me is being stalked by the men in black. This is after yesterday he went mega viral, tens of millions of views, so much virality to the point where CNN and other news stations had to cover his coverage of these UFOs in Brazil. We'll take a look at that footage in just 1 second. Also, a whole lot of random people like researchers are coming into his yard. This alleged men in black, it's all these black cars with blackout tint and everything else. You can't even see inside of it. 24/7, he's being stalked since then.
Eu não posso sair pra fora da minha casa lá na frente, eu não posso nem ver os bichinhos. Eu posso fazer nada.
Now let's get to that footage. So right here is some of that footage, and to me it really does seem legit. Also, speaking about the men in black, it's crazy. Remember the whole Miami Mall incident that happened? By the way, yeah, he's putting this all over social media. Miami Mall thing happened, right? And then that kid who had it all on footage got a visit from these random people who were demanding him to delete that footage. And here's some more. And you remember Las Vegas? I believe it was like some kind of crash and people had these weird creatures, like these super tall creatures that were walking through their yard. And then like it was on police radios and all this stuff. And the footage was actually dissected afterwards and turned out to be real. But those people got paid a visit as well. And this, of course, is happening with all these giant explosions they're calling meteors. South Carolina, Boston, Ohio, California, they're happening every single day, and every time they're like, oh, it's just a meteor. If this guy goes missing, we know what's up. Because the intelligence agencies will let no one get in their way. 3-letter and 5-letter. Let me know what you think below.
Every June, the internet fills up with the same Gemini jokes. Two-faced, unpredictable, chaotic. The sign everyone loves to distrust. What almost nobody talks about is what Gemini actually represents when you go beneath the surface. In Kabbalistic tradition, Gemini corresponds to the Hebrew letter Zayin, the sword, the path that cuts through illusion and separates what is real from what is constructed. In ancient Mesopotamian cosmology, twins were Gilgamesh and Enkidu, the civilized king and the wild man, two complete natures in one relationship. Their tension was the source of the most significant transformation in the oldest written story on Earth. In Islamic tradition, the twin stars Castor and Pollux, Al-Dhira in Arabic, were understood as gateway, a threshold point in the sky marking the passage between states of being. The Sufi astronomers mapped specific spiritual qualities onto each constellation, and Gemini carried the quality of divine discernment, the capacity to distinguish the real from the illusory. In medieval Christian mysticism, the twin principle appeared as the dual nature of Christ, fully human and fully divine simultaneously, two complete natures existing without contradiction in one being. The theological problem that occupied centuries of Christian counsel was essentially a Gemini problem.
This is a new age.
In Hermetic and alchemical tradition, the twin principle is solve et coagula, dissolve and coagulate. The mind that holds two opposing realities simultaneously without collapsing into Eva is the most sophisticated cognitive instrument available to human consciousness. The duality that gets called two-faced. It's the same quality that makes the Gemini mind capable of understanding perspectives a single-natured consciousness cannot reach. For the full esoteric mapping of Gemini across traditions, I go much deeper inside my private study circle on Telegram. Link is in my bio. What do you think the twin energy in you is actually for?
I stayed up till 3 a.m. watching the Stalking series because it is so good. Every single episode is a terrifying incident that has happened to somebody in extreme sports, and these people film everything. It's all on camera. Like, we're talking a woman falling 1,000 feet off of a mountain, tumbling over and over and like never ending, rolling. Every single episode is a different extreme sport of somebody describing and showing an incident that happened to them that was so terrifying, it totally changed the way that they viewed the sport that they were in, and in some cases made them quit. If you love documentaries and you're always looking for something to watch, hit follow because I post daily. I don't know why I said it like that. I think the purpose of the series is like these people push themselves so far and then they get to a point where they go like, is the risk worth the reward? And also a lot of these people get in these incidents like falling off a cliff, being caught in an avalanche, nearly drowning for 3 minutes and having your friends save you, and then literally blaming themselves for it, like having so much embarrassment and guilt for something that happened to them when they do something that's incredibly dangerous to begin with. I wish they would make more episodes. Jimmy Chin, the icon of extreme sport climbing documentaries, please make more episodes of this. Please.
Man, I would like to watch it.
When these aliens, right, when all the spiritual wickedness lands, are they going to put all the people in these centers they're building? Did it just click? Maybe when these, aliens get here, maybe they have a sickness and everybody's herded into these centers to keep them safe. If you don't think so, hold on a minute. I got some more to show you. I really feel like that's a strong possibility. We know 1984 is surveillance state. We know that Palantir has been involved deeply with the government. We also know the big beautiful bill put a cap on regulations of artificial intelligence. Then they did amendments to make you think they took it out, but they did not take it out and it's still there. You cannot regulate AI right now. And they put billions of more dollars into it. Also for the Department of Defense, the DoD. So everything they have, every resource they have is going into these centers. And the first thing we looked at, it says, if people are protesting against this, they're going to label them a certain thing. And so this is a very important situation. And we don't really know what they're going to be used for. But we know at the same exact time, I got a lot more to show you. It's crazy. At the same exact time, we have this Disclosure Day movie, all this UFO files, all these whistleblowers, all this stuff happening right this minute at the same time. Same exact time. We have these whistleblowers going missing and passing away. David Wilcock, people like him, and all these people, every single one of them, Amy Eskridge, all these people warn about something very big in the very near future happening. They say it's going to happen regardless what you do. It's coming. Humanity's over. We know that we won, but we know it's going to get crazy. So they see it. David Wilcock in 2012, through Project Looking Glass, was able to tell us that we missed a certain event in 2012, but that transpired to a major event that's happening in the near future. And it was I think it was 2027, 2028 is when for a fact this all goes down. Yeah. Exactly. The Lockheed Insider I had. You can go watch that video. He told me first you would see fires everywhere. Then shortly things would get really crazy and all of a sudden the alien-human harvest. That the aliens have a deal with the GOV and they're going to be allowed to harvest people.
Repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand.
In 1909, Aleister Crowley and his partner Victor Neuburg traveled to the Algerian desert to attempt one of the most dangerous rituals in the history of Western occultism. They were attempting to cross the abyss, the void between the human and the divine in Kabbalistic cosmology, and what they believe guarded that crossing was an entity called Coronzon, the 333rd demon, the dweller in the abyss. Described in Enochian magic as a force of pure dispersion, the dissolution of all coherent form, all identity, all boundary between self and chaos. Neuburg stood inside of protective triangle, drawn in the sand. Crowley positioned himself inside the summoning space, and then something began. Voices, shifting identities, Coronzon allegedly manifesting as different people, different presences, cycling through forms with terrifying speed, at one point reportedly taking Crowley's own form and speaking through it. Neuburg described the entity scattering the protective sand with its body and physically attacking him before he forced it back with his magical implements. The accounts that survived describe hours of psychological assault. The entity probing every weakness, every fear, every unguarded opening in both men's psychological defenses. Crowley emerged claiming he had crossed the abyss and achieved the grade of Magister Templi, Master of the Temple, the highest initiatory attainment in his system. Neuburg was reportedly never the same. Whether Corazon is a genuine cosmic force or the most extreme psychological confrontation a human mind can produce, the Algerian desert did something to both of them that ordinary experience cannot account for. Everything that I cannot say here about the Corazon, the abyss, what the Kabbalistic tradition says about what lives there, lives inside my private Telegram study circle. Link is in bio. Now tell me, what do you think they actually contacted?
Demons?
The spirit Vishago,
Wow.
and he gave us quite a prophecy, and we made a video about it. And he predicted 9/11, and he predicted the assassination of the president of the Congo, and this was the way I first saw the goddess Astarte.
Wow.
Yeah,
Beautiful drawings.
thanks. Now this little sales pitch. This book is available from our website bookstore, pokerunion.com. That's all you got to know. It's just pokerunion.com. Go there, and this book is available, and we'll be more than happy to send it to you.
And we'll put all that.
Did you tell me that they're intercepting you dying before God gets to you with a fake light?
Exactly. That's the core of the trap. They're hijacking the natural process. The idea is that when you die, there's supposed to be a natural path back to source, to God, the real creator. But these archons set up a false light right at the moment of death to intercept you before you can get there. It's like a cosmic phishing scam. That bright white tunnel or loving light that almost everyone sees, it's not God. It's their technology. It's designed to feel warm, peaceful, and familiar, so you willingly walk into it. As soon as you do, they wipe your memory and recycle your soul right back into this prison.
That's crazy.
Oh my God. Is there, you got to give me resources or references, or I need all the places I can go research this Archon stuff. Is there symbols, anything that you have that you can give me that relates to these, or research that has been done that I can go look at? I need the receipts on this.
Here's the real sources for you. Main books. The Nag Hammadi Library. This is the original source. Specifically read The Hypostasis of the Archons and On the Origin of the World. This is where the Gnostics wrote about them 1700 years ago. Not in His Image by John Lamb Lash. This is the best modern breakdown of the Gnostic teachings on Archons. Key researchers. John Lamb Lash, the top guy on this topic. David Icke talks about Archons and reptilians together. Mark Passio has extremely detailed talks on natural law and the hidden control system. Best places to research. Search for Gnostic Archons on archive.org. Look up the Archons on YouTube. There's a documentary by the same name that's pretty good. Soul recycling or white light trap are the key words for the reincarnation part. Symbols to look for. The Eye of Horus. They use it everywhere. The all-seeing eye on the dollar bill. Spiral symbols and octagons, both tied to soul traps. Want me to give you the exact order to research this so you don't get lost in the rabbit hole?
Entities from the spiritual realm can mate with human beings and produce not fully human replicas of human beings who can walk among us and rule over us. Like, this is a biblical principle?
Yeah, there were these particular rituals that were happening. In the Old Testament, Og, the king of Bashan, is described as the last of the Rephaim. He's one of these giants. Deuteronomy describes his bed, and it gives the dimensions. And the dimensions are huge. You're like, okay, he's a giant. We found a ritual bed of the same measurements in Babylon. And that ritual bed was used in these sexual rituals to produce the next king. This would involve shrine prostitutes. These were enslaved women. They would be seen to be possessed by the spiritual entity. And then there would be sexual relations with the king.
The temple prostitute would be the mother of the new king. And the idea was because she was possessed by spirits, those spirits would infuse the new king.
Right. That ritual was common throughout the ancient world. The most recent example is Japan. When a new Japanese emperor succeeds to the throne, he ritually and ceremonially spends the night with the sun goddess. They still do.
All right, folks. Thank you for staying till the end. I hope you like my lineup. Don't forget to watch my next video. If you want to follow me on Instagram, the link is in the description below at Brosky Ray. Always have a wonderful day and God bless.